disable characters in your mediums. Oh, it's pretty! It is so pretty! I love it! Yay!
My name is Bloodthreadshears. I am also known in the dance world as Oriana Amaz.
Oh, what am I doing? Oh, what am I doing? Good morning, everyone. Merry Time Zone, and welcome to my stream. Let me take a quick sip. Okay. I'm Bloodthreadshears, Shears for short, and welcome to Monday Morning Tea, back at its regular time. I'm happy to say that pet sitting has concluded, and we're going to continue into when the night comes to recap, and I'll do like a quick recap when we get there. But first, let me organize my desk because I did not do my planner time yesterday, and I like to destroy my planner with stickers, lots of them. So that there. I hope everyone is having a lovely time zone and that your weekend was good or uneventful if it wasn't good. Oh, I forgot to put those away too. So before we get started, I have announcements and then the community board, and then we can get into the game. Let's put you there. So, first and foremost is the schedule. That is posted, and I will be doing part 4 of the Knitting Basics series, and concluding it with blocking, cable stitches, and some other things that you may need to know when you're getting started. If you missed any of those streams, I do have the VODs up on my YouTube channel, Bloodthreadshears. I'm very happy I managed to get my name in its full. It's the only platform I'm able to get my full name on there. There we go. My table is a little bit of a planner mess with like a combination of my sewing supplies, my breakfast cookies, and my drinks. I did not have time to make tea. I'll do that another time. But I am happy with what I have. I have some milk to go with the cookies and some water for when I do get thirsty. Both metaphorically and yes. So next up on the announcements is, if you are not aware already, I have a Kofi, and that is what is helping to keep things afloat and fund future projects. Currently, I'm trying to raise $2,500 for a dedicated desktop gaming computer. My laptop, Betsy, is a wonderful workhorse and she puts up with so much, but she is warping at the keyboard, and I'm a little worried about that, and there are certain games that I cannot play on my laptop currently. So having a dedicated desktop with 32 gigs of memory will allow me to stream, to do photo editing, to do all the things that I need to do without having to worry. And having a 2-monitor setup will have me be less combobulated than I currently am right now. And did I not put... There we go. So if you do want to toss a coin to your streamer, the link is in the chat. And you can do a one-time or monthly donation. Monthly supporters at certain tiers will have access to a future Discord server. I swear I'm working on it. I have to contact someone to help me with consulting and making sure that everything's on the up and up. And once that is up, Ko-Fi supporters at the 10 and up will get access to the Discord server, as well as private streams that I cannot do on Twitch due to technical limitations, AMAs, and a once-a-month craft night. If that's something that you are interested in, link is in the chat. And also, I have a $1 tier for those who just want to throw $1 my way and help keep the lights on. I figure if we have enough people who go at the $1 tier, that's enough to keep me, and any kind of subscription that I use for photography, for crafting, specific, and for the stream will help. It'll also help pay the bills. So hopefully that will work. And the next bit is the Sophie dress. As you can see, this is the 3rd day I'm wearing this. I'm doing the test run, and then this is going to go in the wash, and then I'll iron it out and see how it works. But so far, I've realized I do need like a gusset like right at the armpit. That way I can actually move my arm without it pulling. Are you raising the banners again, child? Yes, I know there was a squirrel there, but you gotta lie down. Go on your pillow. Go on your pillow, Mama. I know you're being a very good guard dog. Okay. But yeah, I am also going to start washing the fabric for Mockup 2.0 and properly starting, because I realize that right here is pulling at the dress proper. So I will fix it in the next version. And the next version will have the ruffle at the bottom of the skirt. So yeah. Next bit is tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I, Lonzo Gonzo, Happy Capster, and That Nerd Tori will be playing superheroes in a game led by the Great Rafiki over on Greater Restoration's channel. The link is in the chat right now. I will be playing a fun little character that Lonzo and I workshop together, along with his own character. It's gonna be so much fun, and I said it over the weekend. The only thing I'm gonna say is "Rawr!" That's it. If you want context, come over and hang out in the chat, and you'll see the full reason why I do that. I'm also going to be wearing cat ears, so I shall be living my best life. I still have yet to find something I can wear that will be other than like this, to make it really cute. And last but not least, I have a YouTube channel now. I'm planning on putting more VODs up there, especially for version 2.0 of the Sophie dress mock-up. That way I can show everyone the process from cutting to finishing. And I also want to put up short little videos that I can do little vlogs, updates on, and just have quick little chat on what's going on. I still have my TikTok. I rarely use it, but I do want to like get into the Disability in Dragon Age series again. Because I started with Cole and now I want to go to the husband, Iron Bull. Yes, I'm romancing Solus, and yes, it's complicated, but my heart is with Bull, and my next playthrough will be with Bull. Captions, that is not what I said, and you know it. But anyways, that's all the announcements onto the community board. Yesterday I shared the links to D&D in a Castle. It is a retreat that you go to England, you stay at a castle for a weekend, and you play Dungeons and Dragons. And Cypher of Tyr is going to be one of those DMs. And actually, let me pull up all of the information now. This way I can give you the proper information. Here we go. Copy and paste. Cypher will be DMing at a table at D&D in a Castle. So if that's something that you're interested in and you've always wanted to do D&D in a literal freaking castle, this is your opportunity. There are spots open, but they are going to fill up quickly. Cypher has no idea that I'm plugging this. I'm just doing it because I genuinely like her work and I respect her work. And she deserves good things. Come on. She does a lot. So if you have the money to go to this event, reserve your seat at her table. It is worth it. I've seen her DM. She is amazing. The next bit on the community board is one thing that I have been talking about for a couple of weeks. The itch.io bundle for Buffalo. This is games for racial justice with creators like Death by Mage, Nomadic, Blue Stocking, Get C, Drazillion, Lana Knight 13, and Super Dylan. This is headed up by Lynn M. Meyer, and this is in light to the domestic terrorist attack on a supermarket up in Buffalo, New York, and to help local grassroots organizations. If you want and have the coin to do so, please be sure to go in and check out the bundle. They are trying to raise as much money as possible, and as Lynn M. Meyer has said, ally is a verb. Do something. If you don't have the funds, that's okay. Share the link in the chat and signal boost. Last but not least, my friend Chaos Fae. If I can spell. My friend Chaos Fae, I've talked about her numerous times on this channel, is a 4th generation quilter, disabled creative, and my friend. She recently had her birthday, and she's currently about 60% towards her goal of moving into a house after her landlord terminated her lease with no notice. So they're trying to raise a certain amount of money to pay vet bills for movers, to find affordable housing, and save up to pay for bills. If you have the coin, Her Ko-fi is in the command that is in chat, and she's open for commissions as of the recording of the stream. Like I said, she makes beautiful quilted items like this coaster. And gay. Super gay. Mug rugs, altar tables, desk mats, magnets, ornaments. She makes traditional quilts. You like Star Wars? Boom, you got a Star Wars quilt right there. You want a table runner that looks very pretty and nerdy? Chaos Phase, your quilter. So her store is in the Ko-fi, and if you can, please be sure to follow her creations page on Twitter. That is twitter.com/cchaosfae. And her commissions page is ko-fi.com/chaosfae. Every little bit helps, and that's been the community board. So let me put that away. I hope everyone is having a lovely time, and I think that is all that I need to say. And yeah, I'm getting better at this. All right, so I have my fan to hide my face when I blush. Not that I ever blush. I have my drinks, my snacks. Let me pause the music. And we shall get into When the Night Comes. Okay. Close out the music. I shall take a look at that later. All right, so we are back into When the Night Comes, and I shall give the briefest of recaps. So last time we managed to break into the dungeon, find out that Finn's friend Fiero has— don't you dare start barking. What did I say? Thank you. So, we broke into the dungeon. We managed to find Finn's friend, Fiero. And yes, that was a lot to say. There's going to be a lot of alliteration there and tongue twisters. We found out that they were draining his blood and starving him. We found out that there was another hunter down in the dungeon. We took the information and we got the hell out of Dodge before getting caught. Afterwards, with a cute little scene with Finn, we ended up running into Alcar and going into his place, where we found Omen, the friendly little demon who they're totally not dating. Afterwards, we went to the dungeon, had a little smooch fest with Finn, and yes, I am now feeling my face blush. Because, oh boy, that was a lot. Afterwards, we spoke with August, and then came here to Ezra's house and shop, where Finn and Ezra were arguing because Finn thinks, oh, this is so dangerous. I have to move away. I have to stay away from you. And Ezra and my character are like, that's bullshit. This is bullshit. We do better together. And Ezra's like, oh, you guys are so sweet. I thought everything between us was over. And I'm like, I have two hands. And that's where we are now. So we all confessed our love. Not quite confessed, but we realized that we do better together. And both of us, all three of us have two hands. We can hold each other's hands. So we're now in a polyamorous relationship. I regret nothing. And last but not least, content warnings, because later on in the gameplay, it doesn't get explicit, but there are some suggested sexual situations if you are not of the age of majority. 18 and up. Get out. If you are uncomfortable with certain themes that are currently in the content warnings and you need to tab out, don't worry. Come back Wednesday when I'm doing all of the knitting stuff. So, yeah. Now let's get thirsty. Annoyingly and embarrassingly, I feel a yawn brewing, unable to stifle it. My fatigue suddenly catches up to me, and I find two parts of wide eyes staring at me. Tired, aren't you? Just a little. I should go. They share a glance, and Finn suavely steps in front of me. Steps in front of me. I reach the curtains. Okay, I think that's a typo. So, steps in front of me as I reach for the curtains. Whoa now. Don't you fancy two handsome escorts to accompany you, fair hunter? Oh boy. I grin, because that definitely sounds like something I'd fancy. You're goddamn right! Absolutely. Just as I suspected. The wolf is overflowing and bustling tonight, and all three of us enter together, staying close. Ezra's presence likely softens the blow of me being here with a vampire, but we still get a few curious heads turning to watch as we pass. Finn eagerly heads straight up for the bar, and Ezra rushes to catch up, grabbing us and tugging us to a stop.
You need to rest and lay low. We should just head upstairs.
They both look at me, eerily in sync. Very well. Let's go to my room. I breathe a sigh of relief as the door clicks shut behind us, and Ezra's eyes are curious as he takes in his surroundings. Finn, however, heads straight for the bed. He's a predictable man. Oh God, I need a drink. He throws me a loaded glance over his shoulder as he runs his finger over the top of the sheets. It makes my skin feel hot. Then an experimental push on the mattress, and he grimaces.
Oh no, this won't do at all. There are no secrets to be kept in here, are there?
Oh. Yes, I have a desk fan attached to the desk. No, it is not powerful enough. Oh. Ezra shrugs, clearly attempting to be a little bit more polite about my new home.
It's a lot nicer than I expected. You know, for the wolf.
Okay. Look, this is what I can get on my salary, okay? You have your own shop and home. You have the catacombs. I don't want to hear shit. Hey, don't knock the wolf. It's not all that bad. We both throw him a look and he scoffs. He flops down onto the bed, bouncing up and down, stopping when Ezra throws him a warning look. Fine, it's terrible. I eagerly make my way over to the bed and take a seat beside him, and Finn immediately slides closer. I've definitely had worse than this in my time as a hunter, so I'll take it. I have a roof at least.
I suppose you have. I sometimes forget that you move around so much. It feels a little like you've been here forever.
If you think this is bad, I once slept in a sea cave for the night back. At the mention of said sea cave, Ezra looks like he's seen a ghost. Finn, not that one. I laugh, enjoying their quiet banter. Oh ho ho, I want to hear about the smelly sea cave. One for another time, maybe? Yes, you may need alcohol. Anyway, like I said, it really does feel like you've been here longer than you have. It does, doesn't it? Ezra finally joined us, sitting on my free side, and Finn watches us both with a fond look. With little thought, I reach for both of them and take their hands in mine. Hot and cold, perfect opposites. It helps to have that I have the both of you. Though what you found tonight wasn't pleasant, I still feel like a weight has been lifted. Like we're finally getting somewhere. I scoff, shifting closer to Ezra as Finn's arm winds around my waist. Thanks to you for bringing everyone together. It's all thanks to you. We sit in a comfortable silence for a little while. Nothing but the muted sound of laughter and glasses clinking coming from the tavern downstairs. Ezra rests his head on my shoulder and Finn simply watches us, enjoying the sight of us together. Our protector. I feel complete, like everything is falling into place. Then Ezra shifts beside me, and with a heavy sigh, we should leave you to get some rest. Plus, I really need to get the shop ready for tomorrow. He seems less than enthused with the prospect, as am I. Finn groans, being a little more obvious with his distaste for Ezra's suggestion. Unless you want to stay here and succumb to the sun, I suggest you leave too. No. There's no portal. There is no squirrel. There is no squirrel. Go lie down. Hey. Hey. Boy. 1 second, please. Okay, so quick test. I'm just making sure that I can be heard. If anyone is in chat, if you're lurking, continue to lurk. But question for chat, can you hear me? Okay. All right, so we can say goodbye or kiss them goodnight. I'm a very strong person, but even I can't resist a very cute kiss. I know this very well. Were you a good guard dog, Lexi? Were you a good guard dog? Yeah. Alright, go lie down. Go on your pillow. Okay. So... I refuse to be judged. The three of us reluctantly stand, and Finn immediately yanks me close for a tight hug, pressing his nose to the nape of my neck and nuzzling my soft skin. A noise rumbles deep in his chest, and I assume it's due to the fact that my pulse has quickened exponentially. I clutch the fabric of the front of his coat tightly, and when he moves to pull away. Then I feel another, warmer pair of arms holding me from behind, and Ezra rests his chin upon my shoulder, and I drop my thimble. What the hell? Oh, I didn't drop my thimble. I watch Finn smile down at him, the brightness of it sending my heart to its knees. Is it even possible to feel this happy? I'd never imagined we'd end up like this. I feel emboldened by their presence, their touch. How about one for the road? One of Finn's dark brows raises, and his smile is sinful. Ezra hums, turning to place a kiss on my throat. Then another, and another.
As if you ever need to ask. I've thought of nothing else.
Oh boy. Captions, that is not what I said. You know that. He He cups my jaw with his iron palm, the etchings flickering brightly upon contact. His dark lashes flutter closed as he presses his cool lips to my warm. I get lost in his kiss with little hesitation. Lost in the feeling of Ezra's lips trailing along my jaw. Words are not going to be a thing with me. I try. Finn tastes like peppermint, his thumbs brushing over my flushed cheeks, and he pulls away with a wicked grin. I turn to meet the bright emerald gaze, and I find Ezra's lips with my own. I push my fingers into his thick curls, swallowing the quiet groan as his tongue finds tongue. I feel like that sentence, like the last bit of that sentence kind of doesn't make sense. Like, when you read it quietly, it makes sense, but when you narrate it, it's like a completely different thing. And I don't know if that was the intention. When we part, Finn stares at us with a shit-eating grin. Annoyingly handsome and far too smug. I could get used to this, you know? Behave, you. I bite my bottom lip, unconsciously chasing both of their touches as they move away. I think I've already gotten used to it. That helps, I suppose. I mourn their contact immediately, my lips still tingling, and I anticipate that feeling will linger until morning. Good night, fair hunter. If I could dream, they'd surely be consumed by thoughts of you.
Sweet dreams.
Oh, as if my dreams could be anything other than sweet after this. Woo! Finn takes Ezra's hand, and I wonder, is it even possible to feel this happy? This whole? Suddenly, Finn stops dead in his tracks, his free hand pressed against Ezra's chest, holding him in place as he sniffs the air.
Wait. I smell blood.
The door slams open. There stands a bloodied and beaten Aurora, a disheveled shell of the calm and collected woman I met just a week ago. I quickly move to stand by their side, my focus fixed upon her, and only her. Finn's eyes are wide, his prosthetic glowing brightly. He's calm and undefensive, but I can sense that he's cautious. Ezra looks at her with pity, and I can almost see him surveying her obvious injuries. Aurora, what are you doing here? She leans against the door frame, leaving a bloody handprint upon the wood, ice blue eyes flickering frantically between the three of us. With a deep, ragged breath, Hunter, I think I might require your assistance. Hunter, I think I may require your assistance. As soon as the initial shock has faded, Ezra is at her side in a flash, and Finn tenses beside me. Aurora and Ezra exchange a look, and she nods her permission when his fingertips glow a pale green. I reach out to touch Finn's forearm, and he visibly relaxes. But his hands are still balled into fists at his side. Who did this to you? More like, what did this to me? Aurora hisses when Ezra places his hands upon her bleeding forearm, and He withdraws his touch with a sorry smile. And I'm going to put the content warning back in there real quick. Because like I said, this goes into some dark stuff. Excuse me. Apologies. She gently swats him away, not entirely ungrateful in his care. It's fine. It's just a scratch. Finn's nostrils flare as Ezra guides her towards the bed, helping her settle upon the mattress.
We can't keep her here. If anyone calls the enforcers, you won't look too good tending to a bleeding cultist.
Though she's in no position to be snarky, Aurora still manages to smirk at Finn's comment. Oh, working against your puppet masters, are we? And both you and the witch are tucked away in your quarters with a big, mean vampire of all things. You might be more interesting than I initially thought, Hunter.
Watch your tongue, Woodridge.
Finn.
Tell us what happened, Aurora. I encountered a little trouble on my evening walk. Finn snorts, earning a glare from Ezra. My lips twitch, but I stifle my smile. Do you have a cold, vampire?
No. Please, do continue.
I ignore their little exchange, guessing that Finn knows a lot more about her than I care to find out. Alright. When you say trouble, a creature. One that's been giving you hunters some actual work to do. Finn runs his iron hand over his face before stepping close to me. He takes me by the arm and leans in to press his lips to my ear.
You really should take her elsewhere. I guarantee Willenheim will want to hear what horrible little things she's been up to.
I look to Ezra and he nods, agreeing wholeheartedly with Finn, apparently.
That would be wise.
The last time I encountered it, it was receptive to my visit. But this time, not so much, as you can see. I was just trying to help it. Wait, the last time? She shrugs, uncaring, as if it's the most obvious thing in the world that she'd be comfortable around the thing that's been murdering my colleagues. Miss Crit. When's the wedding? And again. I nudge his side with my elbow at the exact same time that Ezra thwacks him on the back. I try very hard not to laugh, and Finn notices, which makes him far too smug. Ugh, stop that. I came here for assistance, not a show. Aurora hums quietly, apparently thinking about something that amuses her. You've always been weak for humans, haven't you, Casimir? Okay, so like I said before, I actually did a safety run off stream of this route just to make sure that the content warnings were in place. In my first playthrough, I ignored her. I'm very curious of what happens when I put her in her place. So, safety save? And let's rock and roll. Aurora is a little too familiar for my liking, especially after revealing what she just has. You know, I should arrest you for being in contempt of the agency. Consider your words before you next speak. She bristles, but she seems strangely impressed by my authoritative tone. Very well. Finn looks at me, his eyes dark, if not a little curious, as Aurora steadies herself and heads for the door. He leans in, voice low.
Nice work, General.
Okay, I didn't get that last time. He was not happy that I didn't rise up to her barbs last time. Okay. Okay. I playfully swat him away, while Ezra watches us with a fond look, and Finn's answering laugh has Aurora glaring daggers at us. Oh, having him around doesn't do much for my professionalism, apparently. But Ezra is here to put him in his place.
How are we going to get her past the tavern full of people?
Finn crinkles his nose at her, sniffing the air.
She's very bloody, isn't she? Not exactly subtle.
Then he grins at Ezra, and the witch smiles wide in return. Something tells me they've got it covered. Leave it to us. I gently take hold of Aurora's arm, assuming she's not a flight risk, but taking precautions regardless. See you both later. We'll be counting down the seconds, Hunter. After an apparently successful exercise and distraction back at the Wolf, I rush Aurora across town to August's rather impressive abode without further incident. And he has a very nice home with a very nice fireplace. But I call bullshit. Here's why I call bullshit, because I grew up with wood-burning stoves and fireplaces and fire pits. Okay, so you see this right here? Normally, a fireplace needs to have, for reasons of safety, to be up on a little bit of a platform with some, like, a layer of brick or stone. That way, when you're tending to the fire, if a spark hits onto the stone, it'll go out. If it hits carpet, you may have an issue. Because we've had that before. And why do I know this? Because we have a carpet in front of our wood-burning stove, but there's also a giant plank that it rests upon for fire safety reasons. So I'm not sure if, like, the artists had realized that. And yeah, while there's like a little bit of a fire protection grill, you still need that little bit of a platform. That way you can have the fire safety, because you do not want to burn your house to burn down because a stonemason didn't want to put it in. Let's put it that way. And don't give me, because it's magic, I still call bullshit. Fire safety is fire safety, okay? And that's been my soapbox for so many times. They stand in the doorway and stare at her with a crinkled nose. I'd say it's nice to see you, but... Can we come in? I meet their gaze, trying to convey the urgency.
Just don't get blood on the sofa. Please.
Noted. I take in my surroundings, and this home couldn't possibly be owned by anyone other than Augustus Willenheim. This is beautiful, August. Thank you. It's nice having my own little sanctuary, though I don't spend as much time here as I would like. I tentatively take a seat beside them, both of us glaring at Aurora across the expensive coffee table. Aurora clears her throat, her eyebrows climbing high as she stares at us from across the room. Can we start? I'd like to go home if we can get this over with quickly.
Explain exactly what you've been up to, Miss Woodridge. In detail.
She crosses her legs, smoothing the rumpled, dirty fabric of her skirt. August watches, appreciative of her attempt to collect herself, but perceptive of none of the filth makes contact with their home. No more than just, at least. Firstly, in the interest of protecting myself, I want you to assure me that what I say here won't be used against me. From what I gather, you're working against the enforcers, so I suppose you do well to agree to this condition. She is smart. I respect that. She is very smart to do that. August looks at me for confirmation, and I shrug, knowing that she's right. We can't afford her to go to them at this point, to go to anyone but us. It stays between us. Good. Now, I understand you're aware the level of creature activity has increased here in Lunaris as of late, Enforcer Willenheim? August nods. Yes, but Harry has done an excellent job putting systems in place to ensure that we're on top of it. The number of fatalities has significantly dropped in the last year, if that's what you're getting at. Aurora hums, contemplating their statement with a tilt of their head. Lunaris has the lowest mortality rate of any town in the whole of Escria until very recently. Did you know that? They shift uncomfortably in their seat, avoiding eye contact with both of us. She's playing a game, almost mocking August's obvious intelligence, I presume. Of course I was aware of that. Yes. Don't you think it's awfully strange that all of a sudden the most peaceful areas would turn into an epicenter of creature activity? That one day they begin descending upon us in droves, stronger and faster than before. Did no one in your agency investigate a potential cause? I look at them again, and assessing their reaction. My interest is considerably piqued. Lunaris was never on my radar before I was called here. I only knew of his existence because of Harry and James' notoriety, so I certainly didn't know this. Escria is made up of cities and towns from far larger than Lunaris, so for Aurora to claim that this sleepy little place is the hotspot for creature activity is beyond alarming. August? With a deep breath, August responds.
I'm aware that there was an investigation, but that nothing was found. We chalked it up to the simple fact that we aren't doing a good enough job of eliminating the creatures as a country. That they are multiplying at a rate far quicker than we and everyone else can effectively handle.
Another quiet hum. I gather she's simply testing them. Aurora knows a lot more than she's letting on, clearly, and it brings back a touch of her knowing resolve. So why in the last year has that magically gotten better? Until these recent murders began, Lunaris was relatively peaceful again, wouldn't you say? Not as peaceful as before, but an improvement was seen, yes. I'm no wiser than you, really, Enforcer, but I do know the thing committing these murders is no ordinary creature. And I know the method in which your precious leader has used to fix the problem in an unsavory one. But something isn't right here in Lunaris. Something is drawing them here, and whatever that something is, it's making them stronger. Alright, so what happened? Tell us what happened last night. How did you find the creature? Aurora daintily clasped her hands in her lap, taking her time to respond. I often check the graveyard and forest surrounding the Ibex before I sleep. I like to know there's no creatures out there that may need my help. You have Lux for that. Does she not do her job sufficiently enough? Oh, wait, you have Lux for that. Does she not do her job sufficiently enough? Lux is an incredible guard, but she doesn't care for creatures the way that I do. She simply serves to protect us, not them. Why do you require a night guard exactly? Before Aurora can speak, August pipes up.
Because we were fed up of them calling in problems and using up our limited resources. The only real issues they ever had was some angry townsfolk with a kitchen knife.
If you haven't already noticed, the Ibex isn't popular around here. So we assign Lux as an unofficial guard to keep watch. Anyway, as I was saying, I did my usual night check, and I heard something in distress in the forest. I found a creature. The creature. A ghastly looking thing, but it was crying. Crying. August lets out a tiny burst of laughter, quickly covering their mouth once the sound has escaped. I cannot explain, but that's what it sounded like. Hunched over in a tree trunk, clutching the bark, just wailing. I approached it. It simply ignored me and retreated into the forest. But she holds out her arm, the gashes deep and angry. As you can see, it wasn't so uninterested in me this time. It attacked me, pinned me to the ground. I only escaped because it heard something and scurried off. Shit. I look at August, and they're pinching the bridge of their nose, their eyes closed. I look at Aurora, taking note of her confidence and her poise. It's impressive, but I can't help but wonder how the hell she knows all of this information she's just unloaded on us. You know an awful lot about the Enforcers, even more than us apparently. How? She shrugs, nonchalant, not quite getting the gravity of the situation, I feel. People talk.
To the twins that alienate everyone by telling them they deserve to get gobbled up by monsters for daring to be afraid. Sounds unlikely.
Believe it or not, there are people in this sad little town that are more afraid of the Enforcers and your hunter pets than they are of the monsters. They see you talking to the things that lurk in the catacombs, the vampires, the lichen, the demons. They may smile and seem friendly, but they are just as much of an untamed creature as the ones that lurk in the woods that you don't allow to drink in the tavern or sleep in your beds. I watch as August rise to stand in front of the fire. Aurora hasn't taken her eyes off me, her expression inscrutable. You need to see a healer. She shrugs, uncaring, sparing her bleeding arm a fleeting glance. Like I said, it's just a scratch. They're right.
You don't know what the hell that thing is, and you're already unsettling enough without suddenly sprouting horns.
You should seek out Ezra. At least we know he'll be discreet. Once he stands... Oh, blah, wow, words, reading. Yeah, okay. She stands and quickly heads to the door, as if for a moment to leave the place she couldn't have come sooner. But before she reaches the handle... Wait. Yes?
Don't forget this kindness we've shown you here tonight. We could have thrown you in the dungeons for what you've been withholding, but I'd rather not see someone else disappear. Though our beliefs may differ, we are here to protect you.
I stand to join them, a show of solidarity that is a promise. Aurora may not believe their words, but their purpose has and always has been to protect everyone. Stay out of the woods, Aurora. Creatures like this are not something you play house with. Make no mistake, this is something even you cannot feel sympathy for. It's killed mindlessly and unprompted. She smiles, and for the first time it seems genuine, if not a little reserved. I'll come straight to you if I see it again, and thank you. I'm sorry I brought her here. You did the right thing. Do not apologize. They take a seat, sinking deeply into the cushions with a grateful groan. Is it bad that I remain unfazed by such conversations? Not knowing a bloody thing has become the norm, apparently.
This town is infested with secrets. I can't wait until all of this is over, if it ever will be.
How am I supposed to do my job and protect these people when I'm so left in the dark? You care enough to keep trying. That's all that matters. The people of Lunaris are lucky to have you, August. Thank you. It'll be morning soon. With a heavy sigh, August curls their legs beneath them. Yet another night of no rest. What's new in this town? I suppose I'd better try and get an hour or two of sleep. I'll head back to the wolf and attempt to do the same. We'll reconvene tomorrow. Sleep well, Hunter. Alright, so I'm gonna take a save. Nope. Alright, so I am... It is well past the hour mark, so I'm actually going to take a quick break, refresh on drink, and get the blood flowing again. So around here, I strongly encourage folks to take care of themselves however they see fit. Whether it is to get up and stretch, walk around, get some water, get some food, take your meds. Did you take your meds today? Giving your furry, scaly, or feathered friends some scritches and love, however you see fit. Be sure to take care of yourselves, and I will be right back. Testing the mic, just testing the mic. There we go. I didn't think it was actually gonna... Alright. So let's get back into it. I wake barely refreshed, but with an inkling. A gut feeling or something. The Ibeck is more desolate than I remember. The doors open easily enough, even though there isn't anyone around there to greet me. And the chapel within only has pockets of sunlight where it streams through the cracked windows. The rest is drowned in shadows. But shadows that I know are safe, I guess. My instincts warn me of nothing else other than the two bright presences perched atop the dais at the far end of the room. And as they're here, I feel I don't need to worry about my own safety. Strange that I would feel that way about two demonic entities of the highest class. Me, a hunter, alone in an abandoned temple, like the plot of some corny horror novel. Elaine and Omen's conversation peters out as I close the door behind me and approach them. The way they tilt their heads in perfect synchronization reminds me eerily of the Woodwitch trend. Woodwitch, wow, knowledge is what brings us together today. Woodridge twins. But their expressions are quick to change to big, similar grins. Shears, I didn't expect to see you here. He slides off the dais and comes down to meet me. I incline my head at him in greetings, but my eyes are on the still-seated Elaine. She stares back at me and smiles, bright and soft, and raises her delicate hand in a small wave. It's good to see you as well, Elaine. Elaine beams at that, clapping her hands together. Oh, it's good to see you too. I'm sorry about the last time we met. Things were so messy. With a small oof, Elaine pushes herself off the dais and approaches me as well. And my second, I suppose, impression of her is that she's far cheerier and much less cautious than Omen. There's a spring to her step even as she strides, eating up the distance between us with wide, confident steps. She sketches a curtsy for me, and which I try to return it with a bow. She giggles. Thank you. I was hoping I would see you again. We both were. I heard something happened with Aurora. Yes. Amaris looks so worried. She picks anxiously at the cuff of her sleeve as she mentions him. My eyes are drawn to the movement, as are Omen's. And is that my imagination, or is that a tiny crease between his brow? Does he not like Amaros? Before things can get awkward, however, I clear my throat. An idea strikes me. I have a question, actually, for the both of you. Identical brown eyes blink at me. They really are twins, even if not human ones. When we were speaking with Aurora last night, she mentioned something. It seems in the last few years, supernatural activity has been at an all-time high in Lunaris. August figured it was only because the volume of creatures was increasing faster than the enforcers and our hunters can control them, but we have our doubts. And I know instantly I was correct to doubt, as the air around us seems to shift and change. Omen sucks in a deep breath, his hand going to clutch at the back of his neck, eyes averted. Elaine purses her lips and clasps her hands in front of her, but she keeps her gaze on me. For a moment, she's no longer the soft-eyed young woman with a large teeth and a pretty smile. For a fraction of the moment, I perceive her as the thing behind the human details. Something old and seething and immense gazes at me through those eyes. The pressure near crushes my lungs with the force of her presence. Then it dissipates, so fast that I could be convinced I was imagining it. And it's because Omen's hand is on her shoulder. No, it's fine. Shears isn't trying to. He trails off. Elaine pats his head, but slides it off and turns to face me fully. The smile is back, if a little sharper than before, and she raises her hand. I almost flinch, but all she does is point at my weapon. Can you please remove your hand from that? That's a lot to ask of me after that little display. Elaine inclines her head. You have a point, I suppose, but all the same, it will do you no good here. She's right. Galling that you would point it out so matter-of-factly, but even as I reluctantly tear my fingers away from my weapon, the answer I was seeking strikes me. It was you, wasn't it? You're the reason for the increase in paranormal activity around Linares. It wasn't her fault, but mine. Omen is still rubbing the back of his neck as though worrying an old scar. When he meets my gaze, his aura is dimmed. Sad. Omen? Some mortal
years ago, I had an argument with my father.
He pauses, mouth moving without a sound. Elaine shifts on her feet, where I watch her form from the corner of my eye, but she doesn't move. Her presence is once again extinguished and kept tightly under control.
It ended in my departure to your realm. He was unhappy with me leaving and tried to prevent me crossing over. I had to go into hiding, and in the journey between, it's possible I might have damaged the boundaries between our worlds. Here in this town.
Oh. And your father isn't planning on making a trip across to get you back, is he? The thought leaves me cold as much as it makes me want to stare at the ceiling and wonder out loud what exactly this town has done that caused so many fucking problems to become attracted to it like flies, like a bloated corpse. That would be the last thing we need, wouldn't it? Lucifer himself coming through to give us another slap on the ass. Yay! No, he cannot wander as far as us. Omen took, measures, to stop us from finding him. She gives Omen a look, but he purposely ignores her. My eyes are still on the hand he's using to rub the back of his neck. I assumed it was a nervous habit, but now that I'm paying close attention, I can see something that looks like it might be a scar sneaking out from under his collar. It's difficult to spot, and as if he's thinking the same thing, Omen yanks his collar up to hide it. Elaine presses close to his side, their shoulders touching. Their tails intertwine briefly, almost a hand-squeeze gesture of its own, before she leans away again and looks at me. We apologize for the danger we brought this place. It isn't me you should be apologizing to, I think. Omen gives me a pained look, but inclines his head.
You're right. I didn't know the boundaries would be so badly affected by my crossing. By all means, destroying the brand, the markings that allow my father to seek me out should have been enough. I also hoped the boundaries would heal on their own, as they do. Likely they are, but too slowly.
Lexi? Stand by. Alright, so just doing a mic check. And we're good. He trails off, looking at something behind my shoulder. I turn to follow his eyes. Amaros Woodridge stares at us from where he's half peeking from the front door. His eyes widen like a cornered rabbit when he realizes we've noticed. But before I can even open my mouth to reassure him, Elaine makes a gleeful little noise and runs to Amaros. Omen snorts, the sound almost a laugh. I was almost afraid that you didn't like him. He kept news of Elaine's arrival from me. That should be enough for me to resent him. He says that, but his eyes are soft as we look on. Elaine is holding Amaros' hands now, who looks remotely less afraid, and whatever they are talking about is too low for me to hear, but his smile is bright. I see her smile too, and her tail curls affectionately around his waist. They make their way back over to us, Amaros eyeing me warily. I nod at Amaros when he glances at me again. The way he seems to jump a little before smiling back is almost amusing. Have you come to fetch me or Elaine? Neither, actually. I've come to tell you that Aurora will be here. I wanted to... He trails off uncertainly, probably not sure about betraying his sister's view on things yet. I'm not sure how much of that I can sympathize with. But after the mess last night, I'm nothing if not glad I don't have to see that woman again just yet. I have a feeling she would have something galling to say about all this. That I should also make a report on. I scratch my head, thinking about what exactly will go on in the mission report for this entire mess. Just considering it is already causing me a soul-deep pain. I need to go find Alcar anyway. Oh, that would be a good idea. I hope that I'll see you later. I'm sure you will. He hums in agreement, reaches for me as though he wants to put a hand on my shoulder, but he seems to think better of it at the last moment and then turns into an awkward wave before walking away. I linger for a moment longer, watching Amaros and Elaine's conversation. Amaros is smiling at something she says, and the last thing I see as I turn away from them is Elaine kissing his cheek. The streets are dead empty when I leave. It's eerie, almost, in the sudden stillness. As though the town itself is instinctively aware of the wrongness it's experiencing, withdrawing into itself. I wonder truly how much the people know, how much they're willing to know. From what Aurora said, it hasn't always been this way for Lunaris, but I figure it hard to remove this before. Must have been years ago, according to what she said at August. But all Omen and Elaine have done is confirm that there was an increase in supernatural activity, not what the enforcers are here have done to combat it. Nor did their affirmation lend anything to ease the growing dread in me. The one thing that's been sitting like a poison in the back of my mind since I first started snooping in August's office for Aya's records just a few weeks ago. I'm a general, but I'm still just another hunter in the end. The enforcers, the allies, the support network at my back all account for much of my success and strength. It dictates how I move, act, think. And now what? If I can't even trust it to hold my weight? That I don't know the full truth is nothing new. That I'm only ever told enough to commit myself to the contract at hand is also nothing new. But those deliberate acts of withholding information have always passed off as an attempt to protect the hunters, and for the most part, that's been true. Not this time, though. The sound of a bird taking flight snaps me out of my thoughts. I shake my head, blink, and look up at the sparse, twisting branches of the forest. Somehow, my feet have taken me here. Taking me on a path I didn't know I could remember so well, actually, and when I look down at the ground, I see the rock to which Alcar hides his cave. He hasn't bothered to keep the trapdoor concealed. I realize as I walk around it. The entrance is inviting to all. Thinking about the half lichen, I doubt that's true, but hesitantly, I kneel by it and knock. A long moment passes with no response. Just as I was beginning to feel sickly. It's daylight. He's probably in town, and it suddenly swings open so fast it nearly hits me in the face. Alcar tilts his head, ears perked. His expression slowly morphs into a grin, if a tired one. You got a warrant? That's not what guests bring with them on their house visit, Alcar. Depends. I shift, intending to sit since honestly, I'm not sure if he's gonna let me in his house. The moment I start to, however, Alcar retreats back into the cave with a beckon. He's already gone, and if I don't follow, the trapdoor is going to fall on my knees. so I hastily follow him down. The latch is a little difficult to work out, but after a moment I manage to fasten it away in the way that I think it's supposed to be fastened. By the time I get into the cave proper, which looks the same, with just a bunch of messy blankets and pillows on one of his benches, proof that he really did just wake up, Alcar is already across the room. I watch him throw firewood into the small stove and put on a kettle to boil. What brings you here, mighty hunter? Instincts. Alcar throws me a smirk. He opens an iron chest next to the stove and pulls out a jar of something dried, then joins me by the cushions. Prying the lid open, he offers me a treat. Is this dog chow? If you're a dog, everything you eat is dog chow. So are you a dog? Nah, mate. It's fucking candied fruits. I snort, but take a piece. So I'm not under arrest. Nothing has exploded in the town that I know about. You cut your feelings on something? No. It's then that I realize I don't know what the hell I've come to him for, really. Comfort? Going to Alcar for comfort? Not likely. Though, now that I'm here, there is something I need to tell him. The hunter you attacked, well, the one whose attack you were imprisoned for, I should say. Alcar's wolf ears immediately flattened to his head. I can see his jaw clench, but he looks straight at me, red eyes sharp. Yeah? His name is Azazel. Found signs of him in the dungeons. Alcar inhales sharply, then sighs, the relief evident in the drop of his shoulders. But then he raises his eyebrows.
Wait, in the dungeons? The dungeons where they kept me? What did he do?
We don't know, but he was there, and I'm sure he was at the very least alive when you were taken in. Then why did they... I don't know. Alcar snorts, and this time the sound is bitter. He gets to his feet and begins to pace, tightening the bandages around his hands. I can feel his upset, the intensity of it, and under all of that, brewing resentment. I can't blame him. You keep using past tenses. What happened to this Azazel bloke? I don't know that either, which is the problem. Alcar pauses and looks at me in disbelief. After a moment, he sighs and comes back to sit down again. Guess that's why you're here. To tell you, yes.
Your employers sure like to keep shit hush-hush. Figured as much. But thanks for telling me. It's been sitting like a fucking gravestone on my mind since... Well, now I feel pretty fucking bummed out, actually. I can't believe they put me through that shit for something that never even happened.
I'm sorry. This shouldn't have happened. They had no right.
They don't need rights. They only needed a reason and the upper hand.
Hold on. I play enough Dragon Age to know that the wrong answer can really fuck your story up. The bitter pessimism in Alkar's words sting, but they sting no worse than the words I myself have in the past. A reason in the upper hand is sometimes all we need, isn't it? A weapon, a reason in the upper hand. And now my weapon feels heavy at my side. What are you gonna do about this? I'll find the truth. That's all I can do, isn't it? No. That's what I must do. Now that we've come so far. And that's all I ask too. His hand closes around my wrist. I raise my eyes from the floor and look at him. And the sheer intensity with which he stares back at me, the sheer sincerity in his eyes, almost carries the force of a blow. Thank you. Hi, how are you? I'm doing well. Playing When the Night Comes. Hope you're doing well. I venture deeper into the catacombs, the darkened tunnels becoming somewhat familiar to me now. I hear a quiet laugh, and I smile to myself as a figure appears from the shadows. What's cooking, good looking? Hello, Raven. May I escort you to Lord Casimir's lair? I mean, not that you have a choice. I'm terribly bored. I begin walking, and Raven falls in step by my side. Though she walks backwards, those crimson eyes not leaving my face for a second. Why are you bored? Sun's up. Can't really do much other to annoy Finn, and now you're here to do that, I assume. Then, with a suggestive waggle of her brows. Oh, you know, other stuff. The kind of stuff that involves lips and hands and... Hey! I'm just fucking with you. Doing fantastic. So where you are in the story right now. Alright, so quick recap. We managed to find some evidence of a hunter that went missing. Got thrown into the dungeons on trumped up charges. We went into the dungeons and managed to find out what was going on. In the process, at Finn's request, the vampire, we found one of his buddies locked up in there, being starved and drained of blood on the regular. We weren't able to rescue him, but we were going to go back to him and get him out of there. After that, we sealed the romance with Finn and Ezra. Remember, there was a polyamorous relationship and two options for polyamorous relationship in this game. After that, we talk with Amara, one of the people at the IBEC, about how very suspicious that activity in Lunaris all of a sudden spiked up when it was known for being very peaceful. After that, we went to the IBEC to talk to Omen and his sister Elaine about why this happened. And turns out that Omen, in his bid to get away from his father, who is Lucifer, burned the markings off of him that his father would use to keep track of him, came into this world, causing a rift that he assumed that would heal on its own. Then, realizing, oh, yeah, that's probably what's causing all of this. I'm sorry. And that's where we are at right now. So, and that is actually, right here is actually where I'm going to leave it, and So that is actually where I'm going to leave it because it's 11 o'clock and I do need to get ready to take care of a lot of stuff. And if you do need to catch up on any of the previous streams, go over to my YouTube channel, Bloodthreadshears. Link is in the chat right now, and you can catch up on the VODs. So, got a lot of progress done, and I actually have to go take care of some stuff around the house. So, stick tight. We're gonna see who we can raid. And since it is Pride, and I haven't raided this person in a while, we're gonna raid Punkelnix. Punkelnix is also known as MC Etching on Twitter. Is doing just chatting. Pronouns he, him. He does amazing work with glass etching, leatherwork, creating D&D stuff. All around great person. I recommend him very much. So we're gonna go raid Punkelnix. Alright. So this is the raid call. Please feel free to put whatever hearts you'd like in front of it. And remember the raid rules when we go over there to listen to the mods and streamer. Get a feel for the room. Be on your best behavior because it is a reflection of the love, music, and appreciation I bring over to Punkelnix's community. I will be back on Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Knitting Basics 101 for the final episode on blocking and shaping. Tomorrow night I will be on Greater Restoration's channel for a Masks one-shot where I'll be joined by Lonzo Gonzo, Happy Capster, and That Nerd Tori in a story led by the Great Rafiki. It'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope everyone comes over and shows some love, and I would really appreciate it if people showed up because it's my first time ever being a player on a streamed game. So I gotta head out, so always remember, hey, you're doing good. Don't worry about it. Now go make some noise from Punkelnix. I'll see you around. Bye bye!